Here we are, born to be kings. We are the masters of the universe. Impermanence, permanence. As you bend your knee, as you fall into the sorrow of the river of discontent, you recognize your true self as whole. You recognize that the sorrow that you bear, the sword that you slash within the so diminished opportunity is not human, is not whole, it's not forever. Yet you are eternal, you are immortal. Drink from that cup. Let it slip. Let it be seamless. Allow it to nourish thyself, returning to that harvest of perfection, that harvest of wholeness. That heart that is beating is your realization that you are perfect. You are serendipitous. You are synchronistic. And the shadow is the truth. The shadow is where the darkness lies and the light is emanated as your heartbeat. Breathe it in, taste that permanence. Welcome back to the consciousness of the way. Oh yeah. This is part of your ability to fall into the power that we all have as eternal immortal beings. When you feel that, when you taste that emanation through what we call the rhapsody, which is an ancient art form within Taoism, we capture this present moment. We alter the material. We return everything back to whole. This is the power of who you are. The wholeness, the eternal immortal self is the truth, your absolute truth. And you got a little something, something, a little taste of that. That's what we refer to as the amber effect. You're feeling into it. You're feeling into that seamless stream. It is visceral, kinesthetic, somatic, and it's now. And I welcome you. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to your true self. As you've heard me say it before, requiring no participation of self, finite identity is gone. Gone. Amen to that, sisters and brothers, and anything in between. Even if you have a he or a she or a me title, let it be known, let it be true, that whatever your decipher of reality, it all comes back to that permanence. And furthermore, that is the topic of conversation today. We call it the heroic dose. It's a term that's used within most sort of indigenous rituals that has sort of been expanded to something that is a badge of honor, that many people go down this path. They're reaching for something that they believe is internal, but they distort it with an external element, i.e. psychedelics, i.e. mind-altering doses. And when we refer to the heroic dose, it requires you to have a tolerance of an intoxicating effect that will go beyond your body. And it's part of the rite of passage for many of these practices. Within Taoism, our rite of passage requires nothing external. We evoke, we initiate all this magical power from within you, and it doesn't require the fringe benefits of your external personality. That writes the script. I want to see one, and there's very few, like I've come across many masters over my trails as a teacher of this ancient Nidan, evoking the Nigong. For many, many decades, I've come across many masters that have been able to tolerate obscene levels of intoxicants that would literally kill anyone else. It's like a horse tranquilizer. It would sedate you, yet they heighten their sense of awareness. And that's a mastered skill, because this is what we call multitasking. Nigong is about the internal power where you can emanate a resonance that is consistent in any direction at will. You are in every place, person, or thing. This ability to meet the present moment, we refer to it as actualizing the eternal immortal self, forever self, is what we call Wu Ji. This is the void, the abyss, the stillness. This is the primordial mother, the creation of all things, the animation to the consciousness animates the spirit animates the energy animates the body. And in most cases, many people go on this journey and they're looking for a sense of self. They have removed themselves so far from the path that their need to concentrate the waters, not dilute them, they need external approval. Mm-hmm. And so people will constantly go back to these stressors. Always remember, everything is stress, adaptation, and expansion. But the stressors are where you get diminished return, because you're looking for something outside of yourself. So you'll get a slither of something, using a heroic dose, making your, oh, wow, I'm so powerful because I can tolerate this. I mean, you see it in everything. Human beings are immortal. The avatar, the flesh, is immortality crystallized in the material. Oh, where have I heard that before? Mm-hmm. Oh, that happens to be my latest book, a collaboration between the three pure ones, myself and Jade. We are bringing you the real deal in this almanac of potency, and it comes in the form of this manual for self-realization. I invite you, I encourage you to take a closer look. It's in the description. You can go and find it and pick yourself up a copy, because that will be a oh shit moment for you, because it's instantaneous. And the ancient art form that we speak of is so potent, and very few people talk about it. But quite frankly, if you go through the history of ancient China, furthermore, the node point or initiatory point where the Yellow Emperor and the Jade Emperor met, through that relationship, that intimate relationship with the universe, those whispers were met with an actualized alchemy we refer to now as Taoist alchemy. That was the origins, the seed of Taoism, and it's always met with true, eternal, immortal actualization. All this stuff, everyone goes, oh, my team is better than yours. This version of Chinese literature, i.e., Mandarin, tradition, simplified Cantonese, these are all variables. If you go through the landscape of China right now, you can go from one province to another and be met with dialect that is completely altered, that if you don't live there, you won't understand a word they're saying. Mm-hmm. And you'll be like, wow, this is so strange. So when I come across literal experts that want to stay to the true, authentic nature of the Chinese language that is rewound all the way back to conscious oracle bone reading and pictographs, which through ledgers, through transcribing, we have evidence in the physical world of 6000 BC being the first initiation of this, and it came from no other than one of my teachers, the Yellow Emperor, that we are releasing in great detail a book of immortals. And then you're going to get down with the very origins of each one of these incredible evidence of celestial, eternal, immortal self, forever. And you're going to experience it through this almanac.
Firsthand knowledge of the immortals.
Yeah. So, we do the heroic dose. Oh, by the way, my delectable divine co-host, Jadis, welcome.
Your hero dose.
My hero dose. my hero, or what's the word for a heroine dose? Mm-hmm. You are a heroine. You are my heroine. You are my meth addiction.
As I say, if you can handle me, you can handle anything.
And I am your humble servant and seafood Taoist master, San Qing, and you're here to get down with the get down and have more a defined understanding of what that really means. So the hero dose, oh my goodness, you can take it back to your days in college where you're taking 40 shots off some random, local in a bar just outside of your college town. Doing something naughty, doing something against the grain related to what is conventional means laws are abide by the individual as a citizen, and that to me is a diminished return, right? You are giving evidence to. So we talk about the avatar being a reflection of immortality. Immortality can only be actualized once it's met with experience and through what we refer to as the alchemical process. This is ancient, and you must be able to see evidence. That is the true nature of all things. Go to a door, open it, and walk through it. Attempt to not close that door. Go on. It is part of your life force to complete something. Within the lens of Taoism, we refer to that as the Great Bellows. And that Great Bellows will show that there is always a creation, completion, and rebirth. This is the great trilogy, the Trinity, that we refer to as the Taoist rites. And it's happening every fractionated state, if you want to water it down to something that might seem scientific because you need a language for it, but you can enter it at any point. And that just shows you evidence. Something as benign as opening a door, you feel compelled to close it. You don't understand why, because that's the true nature of the cycle of everything. And you will fight it. Or you go, I don't really care. Oh, it's there. If you actually act on what is emanated through you, a divine spark, you will close that door, because that's the true nature of reality. You can take it to
shaking someone's hand.
Right.
If someone puts their hand out, it's like you have to fight your own hand to not want to. It's like, I don't want to touch your hand, but I can't fight it.
Yeah, you want to return.
At least in Western culture.
Yeah. What a great point, Jade. You want to return to whole. You want to blend into the permanence by interacting and connecting with another life force, a human, tangible being, that symbolic, which is not symbolic, it's symbiotic.
It is.
Where you reach out and you're shaking the hand with someone is like contact. And by doing that, you complete the cycle of creation to completion to rebirth. And so this is all part of within who you are. You cannot fight it. That's the truth. The truth is the truth is the truth is the truth. And so when you're looking at a heroic dose, like I said, you can see evidence of such where, the human tolerance to toxins is, at another level. America is the experimental grounds of that being true, as we are the last bastion of distortion across the globe of a diluted and diminished return. Within the human experience right now, America is the last place to hold on to most of these toxins that are being very effective at killing human beings across the nation, and have been for decades. And we're like a mutation of tolerance as you become more glyphosate on all the vegetables, on all your food, animal products being injected with hormones. You're literally a petri dish of discontent as you continue to distort things. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to see immortality, look at your body. And the only reason it diminishes, and this is something within the cycle of Taoism, we take life cycles as every 63 years. Once you are the initiate, born into this world, you take a cycle of 63 years. Once you meet that and you walk over that threshold, you will meet another 63 years. Mm-hmm. The only reason that people diminish, their physical bodies diminish, is because your attention and intention has been met with discontent. It's been met with the idea that you are limited. And that idea turns into a belief system. That belief system met with enough experience will become your knowing. And furthermore, your wisdom that you put out will just be from the lens of this same diminished return. It happens over and over and over again. So what are the potentials? You go back to Taoist canons, and you go back to the course of consciously what is being able to be restricted within human timeline, 6,000 BC. Well, I can tell you right now through my own teachers that I enjoy the pleasure of their intimate relationship on a second-by-second basis daily. We go back hundreds of thousands, millions, because there's different iterations of it. You just morph into something else. You want to do past lives, which is a great tool. I love giving that tool to people because it gives them foundational points of reference. They know who they are. So within the reflection or transformative skills, we always start off with a baseline. For someone that would come to me that wants a past life reading, I give them 9 lives leading up to this, and all those pieces are like jigsaw puzzles that make you shit the bed of reality and go, holy crap, this is so powerful. It makes sense of what is evoking me to do the things, what is driving me to do the things that I do in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm. And don't you think that's kind of another reason why these people get attracted to all of these psychedelics and different forms of alterations, is to get more understanding and knowing of something internal, yet it's trying to come from an external source versus going internal and just unveiling that more and more, like an onion, peeling back, going on the inside. I want to see the inside of the onion. I'm going to peel it back and do it that way instead of, like staring at a picture of it. It's external. I can't.
You're living it.
Right.
Don't talk about it, be about it.
Yes, exactly.
100, Jade.
And who do you think is like, I feel like there's, especially nowadays with the internet and the access to information, there's so many more. I feel like psychedelics used to be such a indigenous, ancient, kind of very private practice, but it's become very commercialized nowadays and very in your face that this is the answer you're looking for. And with that, I feel like it attracts a certain type of person in the same way that, Las Vegas, Sin City attracts a certain kind of person to it. And how does that affect them?
Yeah. It's like the old expression, a moth to a flame.
Yeah.
So, you're meeting your true self from past lives in this present moment. And so when the external becomes actualized, the ancient indigenous practice of these, it's an art form. It is a tango that you dance with by ingesting an intoxicant. You are doing as such, but it is the hero dose that feeds the egoic, personal, finite mind. And so I have nothing against anything, quite frankly. I'm just sharing with you that repeating something, attempting to find, basically absolute truth, is a diminished return when you're taking something external. When you go within through the alchemical process, there is no limit. You are abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite. You will continue to feed that self-knowing, that self-realization, and it will continue to build on itself. When it's an external and you attempt to make it internal, it's temporary, it's impermanent, it's transitory. And so you get what we call a bite of the spiritual dragon. It's a limited, insight to who you are. Yet what people tend to do is they put their foot on the gas and go, well, if it happened once, then let me do it again. And when they do it again, they need to take double the dose to receive the same insight. And then they want to continue to repeat it, and it keeps amplifying the diminished return of their at current moment personality that is an external state in of itself. So our thoughts, feelings, and emotions are emanating from the body. They're not the true self. The true self is eternal, immortal. You stay in that path, in that line, right? And so anything else is transitory, impermanent. You are the pulse that runs from the body through the energy, through the spirit, through consciousness, and ultimately returns to the mother, which is the secret source and animation of all things, which is who you are. And so realizing that can be a task.
I think it's very much like, okay, we'll get into the bodybuilding world. Like when you see a bodybuilder and they have been training for 15 years plus, they're muscular, they look like, a human ape, and then they add steroids on top of that. Their enhancement is there. Then when you compare it to, say, a 18-year-old boy who's never been to the gym, not even a day in his life, and goes, I want to look like that guy. He's taking steroids. I'm going to take steroids and look like him. And it's like, absolutely not. That is not what happens. Yet people want to assume, okay, I want to be spiritual and enlightened. I'm not worried about anything else up until this point. The external effect, the psychedelic, the enhancement is what's going to give it to me. They have no previous practice. They have no previous alignment. They have nothing, but they look at that as the key to opening it because they've maybe seen somebody else take it and, oh my God, look, they had this incredible expansion, yet they completely dismiss their practice, their spiritual growth up until that point. They just look at that external factor as that's the key.
Amen to that. What a great analogy. As everyone knows that listens to this channel, I was on my own path of bodybuilding and powerlifting starting at the age of 10. And furthermore, going deeper into it, even in my 30s, I was still paying homage to it, even though I was deeply entwined with my knowing of my immortal self through my path as a priest and all these good things. The truth be known, even in my 30s when I'd have, a bunch of young guys clamor to me in the gym and go, holy crap, how do you do that? Whether it's jumping under a hack squat with 500 pounds and starting reps of 20 or 30 reps at 500-pound hack squat, which is normally something that someone would pyramid up to as a main point or node of achievement. Their PR would be 1 rep of 500. I would do 30 as a warm-up. But I had also, at that point in my 30s, been training since I was 10 years old. And so I'd never had any issues with connective tissue. And so generally, one of the first stresses and breaks of anyone that's taking external things, such as steroids, they will start to find more and more injuries, because the body will push out everything that's within them, physical, mental, emotional, and it will show itself through the physical flesh. So, you know, you get someone who takes steroids, and I've met many of them in my lifetime, and the steroids does not change the personality. It just enhances it, right? So it's just the same as Jade was saying. You want to repeat more of the same. By taking an external drug, you're looking to find that nirvana, that moment of oracle awareness, that eternal immortal self, forever being realized, yet you're attempting to pull in something that was always within you. So when someone takes an external thing like steroids, and people have this like myth, this mother's tale that, you know, steroids creates, you know, psychopathic behavior and people are like feeding on it and they turn into assholes. No. If you're an asshole, you're going to be an asshole on steroids or not. So that personality starts to show itself more. You're amplifying that. Yet that is an external state. You're not amplifying the internal immortal self. You're amplifying the external state. Don't get twisted by that. And so when you take a steroid, and I've seen it over and over again, you'll get guys that are just so humble and soft and quiet, and they look like, you know,
King
Mount
Kong.
Shasta or King Kong or
The
Mount
Hulk.
Everest, the Hulk, and they're just so soft and sweet because they understand so much more about themselves. And then you get people that are just looking for the power of control. There's nothing wrong with that, because there's this art form that goes into bodybuilding and powerlifting. It's an art form. That's what my obsession has always been with it. It's creating. And to evoke and initiate that comes from your state of awareness.
Right.
Right? So, you know, you get these people of stuff, then you get people that are complete assholes. So going back to what Jade said was, you know, there's nothing more powerful than self-realization, and it comes internally. And so opening the doorway to an advancement through a synthetic external state will be temporary. Give me one example that it's sustained itself. The masters that I've come across over my lifetime that have been using these external drugs are to just harness more of their potency. But you have to be able to transmute that. That is the method to the madness. And without the alchemical process, it's a delusional state of grandeur.
Right.
Meaning you get this guy and goes, oh, I can drink a bottle of vodka and be completely coherent. And you just watch them completely destroy themselves. They start drinking and then they go offline. The spirit leaves the body and you're left with a personality consuming the flesh. And everyone's seen it. You know, you've gone out for Thanksgiving dinner and grandma's had too many drinks, or Uncle Sam is like starting to slap you in the face and go, oh, I love you, bro. I love you. I just love you, man. And you're like, you know, just calm it down a little bit. You know, it's really the secret source that's evoking something, and this is the temporary transitory thing. It evokes them who they are. Now, to hold that does not come from continually reinvesting in the external state. You're aware of it. You're suppressing it. So, again, alcohol can be an active external substance that will evoke more of your true self. Then you have to realize that, take off the training wheels, that you don't get it from you continually revisiting the same external state. It's now time for you to own your power, own your imperium, your dominion, your maestro over the now moment. Your eternal immortal self is now. And so it's a great little fleeting moment, but it's like relying on these stresses. It's a crux. And when you realize that it is, oh boy, wow, you become really powerful instead of relying on it. This is where, in my opinion, it's becoming an epidemic through the spiritual space, where people are obsessing over these psychonautic experiences, yet they don't really have anything other than the evidence of, I need to continue to take more and more of this stuff to remember who I am.
Right.
And so when I get back to the mastered state, where I see masters that smoke a bag, a huge bag of weed in front of my very eyes, and they're levitating in front of me at the same time, you are on another level, my friend.
Yeah.
You are recognizing that you are the creation of that weed. You are the creation of that moment. You are all these things and nothing at the same time. Now, that charge you got, where you're listening to me say this, is where we are already in union. This is the potency of what we're talking about.
Yeah, and I think so many people look at that and they don't associate that the master is the master because of his personal experience and his practice and the internal work, because it's an intangible thing. They just see the tangible, oh, the bag of weed must be giving him this power, instead of going, wow, he's been doing this for 60 years and he's, cultivating 18 hours a day and all of these other things. It's embodying it and truly living his spiritual practice and knowing it's still a intangible thing that is hard for people to wrap their mind around. Whereas something physical, oh, it's because of the physical. We're still very wrapped up in the material state, and that can create some limitations where a lot of people find this nowadays as this can be a quick fix. This can be my I can bypass that time and stuff, and I can just let me take something external and rev it up. And a lot of times that's where the diminished return comes. And like you said, it's like, oh, well, one dose didn't work. Next time I'll take 2. Oh, next time I'll take 3. Well, my friend took 10. I better, let me get to that. And ultimately it's creating more and more of a gap of furthering yourself aware from knowing who you are internally and having that acceptance, and relying on this, external thing as your purpose now.
Well, it's like you have to be able to sink your teeth into it. That's why the alchemical process, as the alchemist, as the Taoist rites of passage, is the shiznit. It is the most powerful way to create imperium, dominion over thyself as the maestro to this reality. As you detach, you attach as all things.
Right.
And so nothing beats it, I mean, you need to realize the simplicity of the now moment. And, when we talk and, something as powerful as sound, as it seamlessly moves into the ether, the substance, the fajin, what we refer to as chi. Chi is beyond life force. Chi is the super glue that holds everything together. Chi is the universal, unified state. And it's a stream that starts from the body all the way up to the mother and back again. You are all these things. And so it goes beyond the diminished return of energy potential. This is like, basically the mother's essence now within the now moment, altering distortion and returning it back to wholeness. And that's you. What? Yes, that's you. You are me, I am you. The true self is everything and nothing at the same time. That's where the paradox blows. Jufu, my mind exploded. Yeah, because you're still simulating this diminished return. And so, for example, if I talk to you today and say, hey, you had a shower this morning, right? How long was it? Instantly, your ability to expand past what would seem the body or the mind, you bring yourself to that place. You're creating it in the now moment. You're like, oh my goodness, yes, the shower. You are instantly accessing thyself, the permanence.
The feeling.
And that feeling is that heat that's running up and down your spine like you're peeing on your leg right now. You're feeling it. And so when you look at these things, hang on a second, I didn't have to go to imagination. It's just there. It's like, so you had a shower this morning. Like, yeah. Oh, I'm there. Holy crap. And so now, just by that invitation, you're initiates to the culmination of the true self. And we are your concierge to the remembrance, the ambassadors to your permanence. You're reunited and it feels so good.
We're like, I was going to say, we're like the host in John Wick. The actor, and he's like, what room would you like to go to? And you go, do you want to go to the club? Do you want to go to the restaurant? Do you want to go to the massage parlor? Where would you like to go?
Yes. Mr. Vic.
I know, that just
Mr. Vic.
Just
so sad.
I know.
You feel a little sorrowful. You feel a little sadness because that particular character in that movie, unfortunately, was physically taken from us not so long ago. What a bummer. But in truth, he is emulating a potency right now. He's in the room with us. Amen to you, brother. And my goodness, you are potent. As we called you in, it's like essentially anyone that's even remotely thought of John Wick or spoke to him or saw or watched one of the movies, you can bring yourself there. You can bring yourself to the potency of the concierge. And then he instantly entered this space, and we're feeling the heat emanation that is a visceral, physical thing. And he's just got a huge shit-eating grin on his face as we're witnessing. You may be experiencing it through a physical form. I'm seeing it. I'm feeling it. So is Jade.
Yeah.
And his presence is amplified. So, for example, let's invite him in to 9-fold, 18-fold, 27-fold. Let everyone experience your potency, my dear friend. Holy moly. I am vibrating like a freaking flicker of light, a star in the universe. And that's his evidence. And furthermore, for the audience that is in curating this experience through their own, invite him now to that. Invite him. Wow. And then furthermore, I'm going to ask him to share and emanate a pulse of his own through the initiate and the observatory state of the audience in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Whoa, whoa, and whoa. And that's him embodying your physical body and showing evidence of divinity. Holy moly. And we have our eyes open or closed, that electric, visceral charge through your body, up and down your spine, emanating as heightened charges through your physical flesh is what you're experiencing right now. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
And, wow. And as he removes himself from directly initiated moment through your flesh, you feel this, it's like melted butter as it sets into your own resonance. and it starts to bleed out into your auric field that is abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite. And you're like, wow, this is experiential. That's what I'm talking about. Amen to that, brothers and sisters, sisters and brothers.
And I think that I was going to mention this earlier, but even more so now, that the thing that is so attractive and intoxifying about Taoism is that feeling. And I think so much of the people try to find that. They do the psychedelics in the external because they want to feel. They can't feel. And yet here we're just sitting here drawing on different energies and pushing it through the camera and letting you experience in itself, and haven't taken anything, touched anything, done anything, just tapped into that knowing and that expansiveness of, Taoist alchemy in itself.
Amen to that, sister.
Yeah.
And, this is part of how you quantify, qualify, validate stress, adaptation, and expansion, which falls right into the trilogy, the trinity of the self, creation, completion, expansion. It is a constant. Don't ever be twisted by the idea that you are limited.
No.
But you do the dance, right? I mean, we talk about the simulation. The simulation is remembering. And that's why the feeling will trump the thoughts over and over again. It doesn't matter. And the more you master that, the more you remember, and you hold that node, you hold that resonance, you hold the tone. And so when I'm speaking, people that are attuned to themselves will be like, holy crap, he's saying nothing and everything at the same time. I'm feeling the pressure and pulsation of my own energy. And when I do this and I talk into it and you feel a wave of energy through your body and it's through a camera, holy moly. That's the truth right there. That is the very truth. And remember, the most valuable commodity in this experience is your attention and intention. Once met, you evoke the spirit. You evoke your eternal, immortal self that streams from body to the universe and the mother and back again. This is the pulse. Whereas thoughts, feelings, and emotions are emanated from the body, from a material state that is a slower distortion, and it is a wave that is impermanent. You are permanent, ladies and gentlemen.
You are immortal.
You are immortal. Here we are, born to be kings. We are the masters of the universe. Ba 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 ba. If I keep singing it, Freddie's going to come in here.
I know. I was going to say. This might be a whole episode of just.
Yeah. I mean, man, good peeps. Great energy, Freddie. Oh my goodness. And sure enough, here we go. And I appreciate you, my brother. And he's just hanging out with all friends and family. You through the camera, us experiencing this emanation, this embodiment that is wholeness right now. So for all those very minimalist type of people that go from duality to non-dualist to non-centrist, when you find the center point, the Wu-Ji, the mother, as you enter into it, it dissolves and returns back to nothing, and you are all things. Oh my goodness. So the heroic dose is a misdirection, a pulse, a positive, a false positive or negative. This is something that we need to be aware of, ladies and gentlemen. And so to be unlimited is to be limited.
Sifu, what did you just say?
Oh.
Did you just say to be unlimited is to be limited?
This is the constant dance that we go through. And this is the beauty and charm, the enchantment of this present moment, is to remember. And what better way to do that through a method? And so if you want an almanac that gives you incredible initiatory moments of self, find it in Immortality, Crystallized in the Material. It goes from pulse all the way to alterations in the material, a 9-chapter expose on true self, an experience in of itself, because it's been imbued and emanated and embodied as the now moment, and it's visceral. When you read it, you will feel the physical results of meeting the true self. And that's why the Rhapsody is so powerful within this path. And ancients, there's always the 2-factor realization for any ancient mortal to immortal state. It's definitely through the lens of Taoism. There's this relationship that they have between poetry and some type of emanated form that might be related to Tai Chi, Bagua, a martial form. This is something that has always been crafted within the path of any Taoist alchemist, is these 2 very fundamental things that you identify as limited, but once you merge them together, you find the wholeness. Now, martial arts is in of itself just, I would decategorize it or limit it to the simplicity of movement. And then what happens is it starts to evoke the rhapsody of the words. You're both these elements. Your body is imbued, the words are imbued. They are, that's the powerful potency, man. And they're imbued. So this is an emanation. This is embodiment. This is now, baby, your eternal immortal self. And as the secret source continues, woo, 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 and you feel it, right? So always be mindful of the heroic dose, ladies and gentlemen. This was really part of the, 80s anti-drug commercials. Don't do drugs. I would say that you can measure it with your experience. At a certain point, there's a diminished return because you're not identifying your true self.
Right.
And you get a taste of it. To cultivate it, it must come from internal alchemy. This is a truth. This is an absolute truth from a Taoist path. And if you're listening to this, it will resonate with you and give you resolve. And perhaps you will find it in another indigenous practice. And I invite you to explore that. It will always come back to that same understanding, no matter what it is. Mayan, Hindu, any indigenous practice uses the initiation of these substances that are external to evoke the internal knowing. And people that you see that have a tolerance of this intoxicated state is someone that has mastered their eternal immortal self. And so they can transmute it at will. And that's something that is for you to find. But if you just keep initiating it and using it as a way to attempt to find yourself, you're going to be, unfortunately, very disappointed in the outcome because, it's like me looking at you and saying, hey, I'm fearless. But then you walk down the street and someone goes, boo, and you jump 5 feet. The true narrative, the dialogue that's going on towards the monologue of your true self is an absolute falsehood. And that's not what's really going on. So some of the most mastered alchemists are fighters. Because when you get into that meeting of energy, they're already measuring their opponent and they're feeling into and distorting their lens of reality through the crafting of psychological episodes that start with the origins, which is words. And so one of the most benign ones, right? I remember quite distinctly when I was very young and I read Education of a Bodybuilder that made it possible for me to go on my journey, which was my Bible, which was written by Arnold Schwarzenegger. What a deficient piece of... Oh, anyway, sorry. I'm not going to talk about personality. He kind of crushed... He's not stealing away my childhood heroic moments where I idolized these action heroes, because that's not truly who he is, and that's something you need to remember. But you would watch a movie, if anyone's ever seen it, it's called Pumping Iron, right? Which was really an expose and an exploration into how much this guy really understood that he had dominion over this realm, like mastered. And of course you can see through his own achievements, but then he's starting to not believe his own, his own hard talk, we would call it, where he's doing it, he's saying one thing and doing another. As he gets older, he's starting to lose this it's like a discontent. He's not believing his shit anymore. And so what happens is, as a diminished return, it starts to feed through the body. And so there was a scene in Pumping Iron where he met someone that wanted Arnold to teach him how to get in shape for a bodybuilding competition. And Arnold immediately was met with his personality and felt threatened by this guy. It was like, oh, well, if I teach him how to do this, he could come to the next show and beat me. And so he literally reverse engineered a program of exercise and diet to completely destroy this guy. Like, it's crazy, but it was a deep dive into his mental emotional state. And so how did he do that? Well, he basically gave him false instructions. So what I want you to do leading up to the show, I need you to take, not 5 tablespoons of salt. I want 20 tablespoons of salt. And like anyone that understands anything about the chemistry of the body, there is an actual factor to that for water retention when you meet it appropriately through your own natural diuretic process, which is measuring the water ratio. It's a 3-to-1 ratio. So when you're getting ready for a show and you're about to prime yourself for game day, there's a process here where you diminish the glycogen storage in the muscle tissue, and with that you also extract any water retention, and you do that with a sort of a very, very intimate dance with sodium, and understanding how that works and how through the ratio of the water to sodium you will extract any water resistance or water retention in the body, and your skin will look like paper thin, and you'll get the vascularity and the conditioning where you'll look striated and all the things that are necessary to look as if you're a Greek god for your game day. So he gave him complete opposite information. Then the narrative in the background was, look, I shit myself. This guy could potentially be, my competition. I can't possibly give him the secret sauce. Right. And so fast forward that to 2025, and this is most of the spiritual bullshit that's out there.
That's true.
And you will feel the truth. Forget about the words and the processes and the systems. You will feel the truth. You'll know. If you're here listening to us, you resonate and know the truth through the wisdom teaching that we impart as a catalyst and conduit for the Tao. And so, it was a mastermind sort of play. There was definitely, you have to give the guy credit, because that type of psyche process was not met back in those days. People didn't really have an understanding of how deep this guy had a greater power over things. And so what did he do? The first thing he needed to do was deconstruct the mind. If you want to win, you must, if you have an opponent and you're in a competition setting, the first thing you do is destroy the mind, because people believe it as their self.
Right.
Their identity is their mind. And we're not talking about mind as a wholeness. We're talking about mind as a separation from your true self, as if mind, body, spirit are all individual categories. So a fighter is a masterful alchemist because they're already playing with the filters of their opponent's mind. And this is what we call within Taoist alchemy as soul projection. And we use that whenever we're engaging with physicality. If it's a martial form, I've already projected my spirit and have operated and implemented 5 or 10 different, executed attack points on my opponent before we even meet each other. Mm-hmm. And so this is part of the power of alchemy. And once you imprint it and imbue it into what you refer to as the now moment, some would call it the ether, it's there. It hangs like a fart in an elevator. It doesn't go anywhere. And so when I initiate it, having it already been crafted, you watch people fall like a bag of shit. Mm-hmm. Because I'm already looking at their mental, emotional state. I'm not looking at how they look physically. You could have someone that looks like a Greek Adonis, yet I can see their excess in their liver and spleen area, and the first contact I make with the liver and spleen in the physical body will have them fall to their knees, and they will be my bitch. But, again, mastering these type of forms gets you to realize you never need to apply that. Mm-mm. Yet people that are deficient, and I've talked about this over and over again, you get into a state where you're, my identity is I'm a clairvoyant, I'm a channeler, I'm a healer, I'm whatever. And they stay there, they hold there, and they lament there. They sit there and they fester there like a petri dish. Instead of continually creating stress, adaptation, and expansion, they fixate on that one point that happens to be what they refer to as their identity. Big mistake, ladies and gentlemen. You are eternal, immortal, forever, limitless, abundant, timeless. And so to fixate on that would then accumulate identity as self. Does this make sense?
Yeah. It's that you're just stuck in the cycle of stress. And so it's not that creation, stress, adaptation, rebirth. You're just stress, adaptation, stress, adaptation, stress, adaptation, stress. And you have these people who feel like, oh my God, I'm just living in a rat in a wheel. 10 years go by and it's like, oh, what have I done? What's happened? Nothing. I'm still here. I'm not satisfied. I haven't achieved this goal yet. And yet they can't figure out how to get to that rebirth.
Right. And so the more and more you realize you are the now moment, you're the eternal immortal, you'll never, ever lay hands on anyone ever again. And that's part of your own completion cycle. That your need to dominate or control someone is the very crux, and your inability to control because you need the control. Mm-hmm. And so to have complete imperium dominion, maestro, as the present moment, as you detach and attach as the actual substance. This is the chi you are accessing, as we call it, altering the material of perfection. The cloth of perfection is the mother. This is the seamless, endless source we call the pulse. Once you reveal yourself, King Kong ain't got nothing on you. Mm-hmm. And so the more and more, as you continue to reinvest in your true self, which is all things and nothing, what happens? You fall into selflessness and servitude that doesn't require. Everywhere you look is perfection, right. No matter what it is. It's like, whoa, I want to say, no. And so I distinctly remember when I went through this rite of passage in this initiation, and you could literally attempt to contort something in your mind because you believe you have control over it. So, something as diminished as visualizing something that could be, detrimental. Or furthermore, when people talk about visualization, that in itself is redundant, but that's for another episode. But for example, when you want to remember a moment, right? Oh, the first time I kissed my loved one. I can do that at will and experience that emanation right now as if it's the first time I laid eyes on Jade, that we were as one. And then because of the way that I've crafted my true self, remembering my immortal, eternal, forever self, when I attempt to capture something that is a diminished return, it cannot form in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what it is. And so it's like a what?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, well, let me bring my attention to something, like something diminished
like when you
or
were
dramatic.
bullied as a kid.
Sure, something is. It holds no water. It holds no weight. I cannot reconstruct that because it has no permanence. And so I could sit here for hours attempting to distort my mind. That is not the truth. Mm-hmm. Now, when I get people to initiate this power that they have within them, returning to who they are, they attempt to try and consider, I have to imagine this, like, imagine this. Sure, it's a great initiating low frequential emanation, but the truth is you don't have to initiate anything with your imagination. It's now. So like I said, we'll do it one more time. So you had a shower today. Mm-hmm. Boom. You go to the shower. You know, you're listening to me, you're talking to me, but you're in the shower right now. Mm-hmm. Even if it was for 1 second, you validate it for yourself. That is evidence for some of my quirky physics type people, multi-dimensional you right now.
Right.
And that substance, you're feeling into it.
Feeling it.
And you're feeling the shower. Even for 1 second, you go there because you are all things and nothing at the same time. Mm-hmm. So you are immediately there. You're in this present moment. That's why the density and the heat that you're experiencing from this conversation is only building on itself as it's more and more robust because you're remembering more and more of yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It goes back to that feeling. It goes back to that remembrance. It goes back to that internal power that we all possess and access, and just activating it and reminding you, through the Taoist alchemy is so powerful.
And so to get to a point of dominion like the one I spoke of, where you cannot distort anything, like I can't create deficient thoughts. They don't exist. And anytime I attempt to initiate them, they burn up in flames. Like I'll see them as I see the spirit world, and they're as dense and as tangible as I see Jade, as I hear Jade. When I attempt to conjure up something deficient, less than perfect, and that's through the alchemical process that I have met this moment. And that's why the method to the madness is so important. That's why the alchemical process is so important. To arrive to this moment of dominion requires the cultivation. Mm-hmm. And so anytime I attempt to pull distortion, it literally burns up in flames in front of me. I can close my eyes. It's going to happen. I'm going to have my eyes open. I see it. There's darkness around me, right? So only time I see vitality in life is when I put my intention to it. Or furthermore, I'm getting initiate moments through spirit. And so I have activated and actualized this present moment. So I see the table, I see Jade, I see Latsu, I see Jade Emperor, I see Jade Purity, because that is right now. Oh yeah, baby.
Wow.
And this is a power that we all have within us to return to our eternal immortal self. Mm-hmm. Forever, besties.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that some people either go one way or the other when it comes to that, depending on where they're at in their life experience. Some people look at their childhood and go, wow, I had an incredible childhood, even though, my parents maybe got divorced and my grandma died when I was 8 and whatever. They remember it as a whole because that's where they're at in their lifetime. And then you have other people that go, oh, I had the worst childhood. You know, I grew up in a mansion in Beverly Hills and both my parents lived there, and I had sisters and brothers, and my maid would always take me late to work or to school, and I never got to wear the right clothes I wanted. And it's like, you know, no matter the circumstances, whatever it may be, their experiences have created, that's the memory that they have held on to and remember, whether it could have been, you know, perfectly amazing. That's this dance back and forth that people play in.
Right. And you can change it.
Absolutely.
And that's why, you know, we always go over what is impermanent and what is permanent. And so this is your canvas, and you can paint anything you choose to.
Back to you are the master
keeper, creator of your reality.
100%.
100. And so in a sort of an epilogue of closure, when we talk about the heroic dose, heroism, guess what? I want to keep taking my dose of heroism. The truth be known, that dose will be limited by you. So you'll see the truth, right? The truth will come out. Because if you don't, you can say one thing and do another. It's like talk the talk, walk the walk.
Right.
So forget about what you spatter out constantly as a mouthpiece of conjecture and sort of like dogma and constant noise, because people are information screwers. They just want to consume more and more information. The less you know, the more you know. Oh yeah.
Right.
Or as the Jade Emperor would say, when you accept you know nothing, you know everything. And so, but Jiffa, you're teaching Taoism. Yes, but the absolute obtainment of eternal immortal self is that you are all things. When you are able to actualize that, it will show itself in your own experience.
Right.
Meaning that you are everything. You are Taoism, Buddhism, Hinduism. You are all of these things at once. We're just got an initiative path that is so ancient and so potent that it's second to none when it comes to initiation. So you can hit the rubber of the road in any belief system to a knowing, to knowledge, yet this is a sounded, tested, battle-tested process that's got to give you your reward, which is absolute.
Right. And I think there is definitely a difference between going into a type of indigenous experience of psychedelics, going in already being whole, and going in looking as the external to create wholeness.
Right.
Those are two different things. And I think that's where people try to blend the two in this gray area and use
Don't want to make catch up.
Yeah, they want to use the external to create the wholeness, versus someone who is already whole then using this as an enhancement, as a relaxation, whatever they would want to have an experience. That wholeness is already within them without it.
Amen to that. And that's where you realize that your participation is not required.
Absolutely.
Amen. So in closing, you understand through this whole journey of this experience, you've had visceral, kinesthetic, somatic experiences, meeting spirits, going through the understanding of what the rubber meets the road in relation to your own awakening, and then using external stresses to create an internal invocation that is a permanence. Realize that investing in a diminished return will continue to create a diminished return. Investing in a permanence, a potent, eternal, immortal return will reap the benefits of eternal, immortal return. And so talk about it, be about it, is evidence. You'll see it in people's own existence, that if they're full of shit, you're going to see it. and it will come from a feeling, not a thought processes.
Yeah, and we love hearing all about it. So comment below if you've had good experiences, bad experience, any experience at all. Share with us, share with the audience. People really enjoy connecting on that level.
Amen. And in closing, close your eyes, open your eyes, take a moment, sit into this now, and inhale through the mouth. Hold. Exhale. Oh, isn't that interesting? It's like butter blending on a hot frying pan, instantly bleeding out through the body. One more time. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Now, this would go in contradiction to the process of sympathetic and parasympathetic dominion over your nervous system. That's the whole point. If you think you know it, you don't know it. And the system itself, neuroplasticity, is a complete oxymoron and contradiction to how you truly access the immortal self, which means you're breathing from consciousness. You're breathing as the mother, not from the body, which would be the rules of engagement would be limited to neuroplasticity, which is one small lens of the diamond of perfection. So in closing, as you are noticing the heaviness as I speak, the more and more robust feeling of that energy through your body is where I say you're welcome. And enjoy that, as it'll be a faucet that is never ending. And when it has created its completion, you can then return to the space, return to yourself, and slowly craft back to the now moment. And the body is permanent. The body is immortal. It's in line with your eternal immortal self, which is also permanent. And with that, take that little bump of excitement that you got from that initiatory moment that we're just sharing in, and it builds on itself, because the breath is the gateway to the primordial mother. Always remember that. And in closing, I want to thank my divine, delectable co-host, Jade. I want to thank you, the audience. And I am your humble servant and Sifu, Taoist Master San Qing, and I'll see you in the next one, guys.